Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your entrepreneurship tutor, Professor Henry Buisa of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Today, I want to talk about some global effects of the Russia-Ukraine war as reported by global media. Let's listen to this one.
The next story is more grim. This one affects each one of you, all of us, whether you're watching us from Hong Kong, Hawaii, or Honolulu. There is a global cooking oil crisis, one that will soon roast your kitchen. The world's biggest producer of palm oil has blocked exports. The world's biggest exporters of sunflower oil are at war. The producers of soybean oil are battling the climate crisis, and so are the producers of canola oil. Then where will you get your cooking oil from? How will your kitchens run? You may not be living on fried food, but even if you swear by salads, you will need oil for the dressing. You will need oil for the mayonnaise. You will need oil for baking, for cookies, for pizza dough. You will need oil even for air frying, but oil supplies are running dry. Do countries have a plan B? Should you be stocking up? We'll answer these questions over the next few minutes. We'll start by looking at what's happening around the world. Ukraine is the world's biggest exporter of sunflower seed oil. It exports 5.4 million tons of edible oil every year, which is almost half of the world's sunflower oil. But Ukraine is at war, and supplies have been cut. Russia accounts for 25% of the world's sunflower oil, and Russia is the one waging this war. In other words, supplies have taken a hit there too. Then we come to Canada, the biggest exporter of rapeseed oil, but crops shrunk after Canada experienced record heat in 2021. Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay are among the top exporters of soybean oil, but these countries are battling severe drought. Malaysia, the world's second biggest exporter of palm oil, is facing labor shortage, so its oil exports are down. All in all, oil supply chains are drying up. And adding fuel to this fire is Indonesia. This country is the biggest exporter of palm oil, but as of today, the 28th of April 2022, Indonesia has banned palm oil exports. Why? Because of local shortage. Prices in Indonesia are up 40%. People are protesting, so the government has decided to ban exports. And this country alone accounts for 1/3 of the world's vegetable oil exports. That's 30 million tons of vegetable oil every year. Indonesia's biggest buyers are India and China. India depends on Indonesia for nearly half of its palm oil. India, in fact, is the world's largest importer of edible oil, 13 million tons every year. 60% of this is palm oil, 25% is soybean oil. Sunflower oil accounts for 12% of India's edible oil imports. What explains this huge oil import? High consumption, that's one, and insufficient oilseed production. In India, the per capita oil consumption is around 19 kilos per person per year. Where will the oil come from now that the supply chain is drying up? What are India's options now? Well, Malaysia is the second biggest exporter of palm oil, followed by the Netherlands, Germany, and Estonia. But put together, they cannot compensate for Indonesia's exports. Meaning, the demand is way more than the supply. In other words, a price rise is unavoidable. Experts say prices could go up by at least 20%. Indians will feel the pinch. And developing countries will be the hardest hit because they depend on cheaper cooking oils like palm oil, as against the more expensive options like olive oil, soybean oil, sunflower, or canola. Of course, the developed countries will also suffer. In the United States, for instance, soybean oil prices have already soared. Soybean futures doubled after Indonesia announced its export ban. In Asia, palm oil has risen nearly 50%. In Europe, rapeseed is up 55%. Globally, vegetable oil prices increased 23% in March, and it will get worse. So what should you, the consumer, do? Should you be stocking up? Well, panic buying is never the wisest way out. In the United Kingdom, supermarkets have already begun rationing cooking oil, sunflower oil, olive oil, rapeseed oil. They're all being sold in limited quantities. In some supermarkets, the limit is 2 cooking oil packs/bottles per customer. Same with Spain, Germany, Italy, and Turkey. They're all rationing oil. Some experts say countries could divert vegetable oil from fuel tanks. You see, biofuel accounts for nearly 15% of vegetable oil demand. So if that 15% is diverted to kitchens, then there may be a little respite. But will countries do that? And more importantly, will that be enough? An expert gave the verdict on India. He told the media that there would be shortage. There is no way to increase supplies. In short, this is geopolitics hitting home. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Yes, we have been told that the less developed countries or developing countries will be hit hard by this oil crisis. And let's look at flashback 1798. That is the Malthusian theory. You know, Malthus, Robert, predicted that population was growing very, very fast, geometrical progression. Food was growing very, very slowly, arithmetic progression. And the result was the disequilibrium between population and the food supply, simply shortage of food supplies. And how to correct that? Positive checks or natural checks like earthquakes, epidemic, wars, famines, floods, and all that. Positive measurements like late marriages, celibacy, and so on and so forth. And this was the graph that at the beginning, the population was growing slower than the resources, and therefore we were okay. But it predicted that the population will come and grow faster, surpass the growth of resources, and there will be a crisis. Of course, Malthusian theory has been criticized that it did not take technology into consideration. But then what's technology? Yeah, you may want to say technology generally is knowledge, skills, experience, and the techniques used by humans to change, transform, and use the environment. Technology can be either the hardware, mainly produced by the industry, that is the physical embodiments, the tools, the equipment, that hardware, that equipment that you buy from the shops. But it can also be software produced by the university, the skills to make hardware work. Yes, you might have a car, but if you don't have driving skills, you will not deal with that car. And then systemware generated by the government. That is the infrastructure to make the hardware work, like the institutions, the legal framework, the policies. So hardware on its own may not work if there's no software and if there's no systemware. And the software has two aspects. The lifeware, that means the technical and the managerial skills. Again, the university. And the innovationware, the know-how to improve and add value to innovate, the university. Now, questions arise. Industry, university, and government. We are saying, is the university producing relevantly equipped graduates for lifeware and innovational functions? Are appropriate technologies come to industry? Are appropriate technologies coming from industry for social use? Has the government developed appropriate infrastructure for the production and implementation of appropriate technology? These are questions that developing countries, like my own country, Kenya, should be asking themselves. Now, back to the clip. The clip is talking about international trade, that exports, imports, and all that. Now, this table here is talking about what we call the law of comparative advantage. That international trade is based on law of comparative advantage, which is used to justify internationalization and globalization. That because Kenya produces better or produces more of tea than China, and China produces more or better fertilizer than Kenya. Therefore, Kenya should specialize in tea and mass produce tea, which it can sell even to China, while China can specialize in fertilizer. This is a very simple demonstration of that law of comparative advantage. But this law makes some assumptions. One assumption is the existence of free trade between and among countries. The Russian-Ukraine war has shown that conflict between countries can affect international trade and therefore make the theory of law of comparative advantage very lame. So the question becomes, should developing countries apply the law of comparative advantage in its totality? Absolutely. Now, E.F. Schumacher, who wrote Small is Beautiful, borrowed or probably was a student of Mahatma Gandhi, who said the progress of the country, in this case, less developed country, depends not on mass production, but on production by the masses. And in 1962, when India was thought to be going to extinct, so to speak, because population had grown so high, this E.F. Schumacher was invited by Nehru in India in 1962, and he coined the word intermediate technology. Now we call it appropriate technology. Maybe it was in response of the Malthusian prediction that technology can come to our rescue. So remember, Malthus overlooked technology, Schumacher has brought in technology, and Mahatma Gandhi talks of production, not mass production, but production by the masses. And indeed, Indian experts think innovation that leads to production by the masses matters, or simply support of the micro and small enterprises. Listen to him.
Innovation should help the farmers to get out of the crisis, the problems in which they are living. One example I can tell you, India, a country of 1.2 billion, has achieved in self-sufficiency in milk production by backyard milk production. 1 cow, 2 cow, 3 cow, few cows. The economy is controlled by women. 20% of the agriculture GDP is coming from milk. That money is judiciously spent on education, healthcare, well-being of the family. This is not something a technology. It was a process, a cooperative-led process. A political leadership shown the way to make India self-sufficient through cooperatives, through mass production of milk by masses of India, not by few companies who can produce milk and supply inward the whole African countries by the European milk production. That is not a innovation, that is a destruction. And whatever beautiful ideas which comes from the corporates is to be handled with lot of careful approaches. Otherwise, that would be destroying the life of the people. And in India, agroecological schools, agroecological practices are booming up. For example, in Andhra Pradesh, a state where the government of Andhra Pradesh is implementing a massive program to implement agroecology in the small farmers' fields. That is called zero budget natural farming. So farmers don't rely on external input, and they make their own inputs. They are innovating ideas and solutions to the problems, and making themselves self-reliant. This is the kind of innovation which needs to be replicated all over the world. Thanks.
We can see here that the experts in India are advising us that mass production is good, but production by the masses can even be better or a good complement. Now, back to the government university industrial linkages. There we are again, the university producing software, the industry producing hardware, and the government producing systemware technology to feed the society. So, the message is the government should bring out policies to encourage small-scale enterprises, that is, the systems, the infrastructure to promote production by the masses. The universities should have programs and curriculum to produce and incubate graduates to engage in growth-oriented startups. And the industry, large and small business partnership, like in Kenya in the 1990s, we had what we called the KMAP, Kenya Management Assistance Program. That partnership was helping the micro and small enterprises. Now, let me sample some of my own works. I have just finished a university research on sunflower. The idea was to investigate the agricultural value chain of oil crops in the process of industrializing the rural scene. We are saying clustering can be a way to go if we want to achieve the Vision 2030 for this country. What do I mean by clustering? You identify a focal crop and then see how industrialization can stem from that crop. We did this not as exploratory research, not as the normal qualitative research. We did it as an experimental research. In other words, we went and set up a demonstration farm within Bungoma, within Kimilili. We subcontracted sunflower farmers, gave them the seeds to plant, and then when they harvest, we bring them into a center where we process it into vegetable oil. And you'll be surprised. The process of doing all that opened up the opportunities associated with sunflower that were hitherto not well known. You take the value chain of sunflower, and along the value chain, it creates other offshoots for industrializing the rural scene. For example, we process the sunflower into vegetable oil. This vegetable oil can actually also be used in the beauty industry. It can also be used in making soap. But the cake that remains behind after pressing sunflower makes animal feed, chicken feed, fish feed. Now, you see, already a new value chain is being produced, is being generated from the cake. So we have now dairy value chain, fish value chain, chicken value chain, and so on and so forth. Let us look at that diagram. Look at the middle boxes, starting from sunflower farm, going to sunflower seed, to sunflower processing, to sunflower oil. And when sunflower oil is available, it can be used in cooking, it can be used in beauty industry, and it can be used in soap making. So that value chain ends up in those possible three uses: cooking, beauty industry, and soap making. Now let's go back to the value chain. Look at that stage of sunflower seed. The sunflower seed can be milled into sunflower flour. Now, this flour is healthier than the wheat flour when used in the bakery or in the baking industry. So this generates the value chain of sunflower generates one benefit there for our rural health living. Look at the sunflower processing stage. When we process sunflower, what remains behind is called cake, sunflower cake. This cake can make cattle feed, can make chicken feed, can even make fish feed. Now, these feeds, when they are available, we can introduce dairy or beef farming. After all, cattle feed is available. We can do poultry farming. After all, chicken feed is available. And so is fish farming. Now, these cattle, chicken, and fish can again make their own value chains. Starting from sunflower processing to sunflower cake, we can introduce more value chains. Let's go back to sunflower farm. From the sunflower farm, you can see that the farm can attract bees which come to collect nectar as they pollinate the crop. Now, with the presence of bees, we can do apiculture, which is bee farming. And from apiculture, you can see we produce honey, produce wine, meat, candles, and so on and so forth. And you know, honey has got its own products, byproducts, very rich, very healthy product. What are we saying? We're saying that there are many opportunities within the sunflower value chain, from its forward linkages and multiplier effects. That's why I love sunflower. It makes sense, and it also makes money sense in our community. Yes. Yes. Make it SMEs, micro and small enterprises, and let the sunflower come to our aid. Now, here is an examinations project from one of my students.
My name is Robert Smith Masinde. I'm a student of Jomo Kenyatta University, Kitale campus. My registration number is HTP 111-C008 0105 stroke 2019.
And my name is Jeremiah Lirangu Joroge, a student at JKUAT, Kitale campus. My registration numbers are HDB 111C008/2020. I am a student at JKUAT and we are both currently taking diploma in business administration.
Yes, due to the economic crisis in the country, our teacher, who is Professor Wisa, has encouraged us to do something more practical, which will bring up a solution to the problems that the community is facing. And this one, my friend will explain.
Okay, welcome to my project. Recently, in the country, there has been a rise in the price of cooking oil and oil-related products. So I thought of a business idea and ways to solve this problem. So I discovered that you can make avocado oil. You can make oil from avocado, and hence I decided to try it and see the results. I think that if this project is successful, we can be able to solve the current crisis because avocados are readily available in the country. Welcome. Okay, welcome back. So I have already spread out the avocado, and now we leave it for about 6 hours. But remember to keep it away from sunshine, just inside the house for about 6 hours, and you'll see how it looks like. Okay, so after 6 hours, the mixture has turned black. So we stir it again, and we continue stirring it, and then we leave it for about 6 hours again, to which it will turn black again. So we continue stirring, and we are still stirring it. Stir continuously and try to smash the lumpy particles, those with lumps, and then you spread it all over. So after about 4 days of constantly turning it, the, it eventually turns to black. It should turn to black, but mine has overstayed a little bit, but it's still good because now the color is black. So after that, when it's completely black and there's no green in it, we just scoop it, then we put it in a glass dish. So for the final preparation. So after we put it all in the dish, we now heat it. This is how we'll heat it. So after finishing, so we now put it in boiling water and wait for 5 minutes gently. Then we cover it. Okay, so I've already finished heating the avocado and I've immersed it in a, they say insert it in a muslin bag or a cheesecloth. They usually say insert it in a muslin bag or a muslin cloth, but I could not find it unfortunately in Kitale. So I've just used the paper bag that is sold in supermarkets at 10 shillings. Let's see whether it's going to produce some results. So we press it. So we are still pressing. So we are supposed to use cheesecloth to get the most out of the avocado, but unfortunately we had to use a piece of cloth because the cheesecloth was unavailable. So if we had a cheesecloth, then more of it would have been produced. So we can see the avocado is really rich in vitamin E and A and D.
Yes, this student has produced vegetable oil from avocado. In Kenya, we're growing avocados and we're only preaching export. Has avocado, let's export it, yet it could be converted into vegetable oil, probably to help the crisis that we're getting. So, incubation programs for such students are in dire need, and that calls for policies, proper policies in the government, proper programs at the university, and a proper collaboration from industry. So, even as we apply the law of comparative advantage, we should take cognizance of the fact that it has limitations and solely depending on it has its downsides. Subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, and please thank you for listening to us. Have a vegetable-free day, won't you?